everybody. First of all, I would like to congratulate Kelsey Callahan and the entire admissions team on an unbelievable attendance at the entrance exam. The future is bright on 115th. On behalf of my brothers, Kevin and Mike, we would like to say thank you to everyone for being here tonight for us. We would like to thank everyone at Marist that decided to honor us with this amazing award. A very special thank you to our friend Beth O'Neill for planning such an incredible event. To have our families, our friends, and 600 Redhawks here tonight is pretty freaking cool. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to do this next Saturday also. Ironically, I received a phone call this afternoon from Marshall and Champagne. We usually talk on Thursdays, so I was a little alarmed when he called. A little bit of attitude out of Marshall this morning. He said he was sorry he couldn't make it tonight, but he just wanted to make sure that everyone here starts attending the Marist basketball games. And if you don't, he would haunt you. And based on our game today at UIC, a lot of you should sleep with one eye open tonight. It's $150 to be here tonight. It's $4 to be at the basketball game. In all seriousness, in a very true sense, we feel that we do know everybody here tonight. No matter what year you graduated, we are all Marist. Kevin was 84, Mike was 91, I was 86. Enzo was 13, Sevi was 16, and Kate was 18. My wife went to a public school, she's at home with the dogs. I hope that there are stories being told that bring back great memories and great stories. If you want to feel better about your class, my class, or should I say my group of friends, will always be remembered by the administration as the group that the day before prom felt it necessary to have a very detailed plan for the festivities before and after prom. It was so detailed that we put it on paper, gave exact instructions as to who was to bring what, where such festivities were to be held, and like most Marist students, we listed very specific goals for the night and the following day. What was not one of the goals was to leave the original copy in the Marist Library copy machine and have it found by the principal. Our dear friend is here tonight, and he still lives with that shame today. Man, was school fun the next day for us and our parents. The bond that is Marist in our lives, Kevin, Mike's, and mine, has really meant everything. The bond that is Marist has given us an education, athletic achievement, spirituality, and most important, the greatest gift that Marist has given the three of us, as each person in this room has, is the gift of friendship. And by the way, I'll let you lie right through my teeth. None of us have any real athletic achievement to brag about. You're looking at 3 role players at best. Like most of the men in this room, our journey to Marist started in a very democratic way with our father. I'm sure this conversation was had in many households on the South Side over the past 6 decades. Our dad brought us into the living room for the big family meeting. You're growing up and it's time to start, you make your own decisions, he said. You can go anywhere you want to high school. You're going to be a man soon and it's time you start thinking of things for yourself. His only requirement would be that it is a Catholic school. We thought, wow, Dad's actually starting to listen to our opinion. He cares about what an 11-year-old thinks. And at the end, he said, and by the way, if you go to Carmel, Rita, or Rice, you can pay for it and move out. So the genius that Kevin is, he chose Marist and was able to remain in the house. Mike was hoping that Kevin chose Rita so he could get his room. Truth of the matter is that our parents saw Marist as the best path to a successful future for their kids. It didn't matter what the sports programs were like. It didn't matter what conference we played in. It didn't matter how many state championships the school won, or who the coaches were, or what level their kids would be playing in sports. What mattered was education, and Marist was the best, and that's where we were going. If you were here a year ago, I think it was the same night a year ago, there was a moment in time that I think about every time I walk into Marist at 4200 West 115th Street. My friend Larry Tucker was bestowed an incredible and so well-deserved honor. The Sportsplex was now to be called the Larry Tucker Center. With his entire family standing there and almost 1,000 people standing on their feet, I believe that Larry felt the humility that me, Kevin, and Mike feel right now. A humility that screams, I did it because I love it. I didn't do it for the recognition. And because Larry didn't know about the honor, it was a surprise. He didn't have time to prepare a speech. So in a vulnerable moment of truth, he spoke from his heart with an incredible amount of gratitude and grace. It took him a few minutes to even say a word. Actually, I remember thinking, Jesus, Larry, get your shit together. Then he said 4 very simple words that have stayed with me and my wife and remind me why the 3 of us are here. Larry looked up after a few moments of silence and he just said, it is the people. I will remember that forever. For Kevin, Mike, and myself, it is the people. A few months ago, I was involved in a situation that once we heard the solution, my wife looked at me and said, that is Marist. It was actually the first weekend after school started. My good friend Tom Murphy was here tonight, who I met 40 years ago at Marist and remains one of my dear friends today, called me in a panic. Tom's son is a freshman at Marist, and they live in the South Loop. And Tom, on behalf of a lot of people at Marist, convinced people in the South Loop to come to Marist and forgo the local Catholic school. The morning of the freshman orientation was a disaster. The bus was late and forgot to pick up 5 kids. Over the weekend, Tom had a complete meltdown, and because through email, the bus company had announced that they were now changing the schedule and the South Loop kids were gonna be picked up at 5:30 in the morning, this was not the agreement these families had signed up for. Tom asked that I reach out to Larry and Ryan to see what could be done. Both of them listened to my problem and responded, though, that there's very little they could do because it's a Saturday and the bus company would be closed until Monday. Tommy was beside himself and felt his reputation with the South Loop families was now tainted. The Tuckers communicated that they will address this on Monday with the bus company, but these families are on their own for Monday. Murph was a wreck. Within a few hours, I received a phone call from Ryan Tucker that everything had been taken care of, and tell Tom that they will be back on regular schedule on Monday and the kids will be picked up. I assumed that the bus company had returned Larry's call. When I got to school on Monday, I saw Ryan and said, thanks for getting a hold of the bus company over the weekend. You really helped out my friend Tom Murphy. His answer to me is why it will always be the people. He informed me that they didn't speak to the bus company, that it was Larry himself that drove the Tucker van down, picked up each kid on the South Loop, and made sure they got to Marist on their regular schedule. There was no way that Larry was going to let the integrity of Marist High School, or for that matter, Tom Murphy, be tarnished. To me, the act describes the man, but the fact that he didn't tell anybody describes the character of the man. For the 3 of us, the people will always start and end with Larry Tucker. I am sure that the people is different for all of you. Those sitting at your table right now, the ones you graduated with, your favorite teacher are your people. For Kevin, Mike, and myself, it started with Brother Hank, Al Brazen, Brother Doherty, Mr. Glennon, and so many other leaders that were at the school when we were students. Kevin Coakley, Brian Enright, Mike Walters, Mike Carnezes, Joe Sullivan, Robert Mulcrone, Kevin Flaherty, Mal Lacey, Frank Bilecki, and Tom Murphy are friends we've had since our freshman year at Marist. 40 years of friendship that all started with the bond that is Marist. There's a very special friend to all of us right now that is facing some difficult times who couldn't be here with us. I want him to know that our family and the entire Marist family is with him. Matt Gaynor, keep fighting. Because I am the brother that spends the most time in the building, I am in a unique position to experience what the people is really like. We all know that Larry, Meg, Beth, Hank, and Brother Pat, as the leaders of the school over the years, and each one of them are a reflection of what we to know to be as Marist. But for the three of us, it is the people who maybe aren't as known to everyone here that really makes Marist. The mission of Marist is to educate young people, especially those least favored. As Marist alumni, we cannot lose sight of the least favored. For Kevin, Mike, and myself, it'll always be about the least favored. So perhaps for the three of us, it is those that educate the least favored. Perhaps it is the Joel Vickers, the Ryan Kozits, the Nzingas, Joy Lewis, Latoya Hayes, Mike Brennan, Tasha Howell, Curtis Jones, Donnie Perkle, Mary Berry, Mike Callahan, Gene Nolan, Colleen Coyne, Alex Brown, Nick Wisher, Brendan Heffernan, Kevin Sepsic, Dan Higgins, and Joe Pettinger that makes Marist Chicago. Despite having the best basketball program in the state, Marist and the South Side love their football. When we were growing up, high school football coaches wore tight bike shorts, ripped cigarettes, and dropped F-bombs in the cafeteria. Ron Dawzak and Mike Fitzgerald are two of the classiest men I have ever met. As Larry said earlier, they do not coach football, they educate young men through football. Ron and Mike would agree that it all started with perhaps the kindest man at Marist High School, Pat Dunn. And I hope he's here tonight. If you have worked at Marist over the last 2 decades, there is one man that exemplifies the mission of the least favored more than anyone. Rob Tops, in my mind, is the guardian of the least favored. Rob Tops is what a real Marist man is. I have watched every single one of these people, and there are countless that I haven't mentioned, spend their own personal time to educate the least favored. To me, Kevin and Mike, they are the real heart of Marist. We cannot thank everyone enough for being here tonight. On a personal note, we thank our wives, Mary, Isabel, and Robbie, for sharing in the passion we have for Marist. I cannot thank my wife enough for allowing me to continue to do what I love and be gone for so many hours. I cannot thank everyone enough for agreeing that all the money raised here tonight will go to the basketball program. And I really look forward to later on tonight when they announce that it's now called the Larry and Brian Center. Go Red Hawks.